Welcome to episode 4 of the Swords and Wizardry solo actual play. Something very tragic happened last episode. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. But we lost one of the brothers. So I think now we need to deal with the fallout from that. Quesh is on his own, and he has a quest to complete. And can he complete it on his own, or is he going to have to find people to help him? So let's find out what happens. I'm Tristan. This is Heroes and Homebrew. Okay, so I have bumped up the chaos factor of our Mythic GME to 8 because of everything that happened. The death of Ekal. Quesh is not in control of his situation anymore. Ekal was kind of an anchor for him, and now without that, he's kind of lost. So the chaos factor has gone up. He has decided he needs to, have a funeral for Ekal. He's not just going to leave him lying there with all the bandits. He has searched the bodies. He's found some like 100 gold pieces and some gems worth a total of 1,000 gold pieces. But first we're going to test the scene. So we're going to go to our Mythic GME. And we're going to test the scene with a D10. Now, testing the scene, it means if something happens, if the scene changes, we're going to have to make an adjustment. We don't have a lot on our adventure lists. We have 2 threads right now, which is protect the scroll and reach port. And we have 3 characters. One of them is dead, so we're going to scratch him off. Actually, I'll just erase it and make it easier. Unless he comes back from the dead somehow. Does a Jedi Force Ghost thing. So we're going to test the scene and roll a D10 on anything above 8, which is the chaos factor. 8 or above, the scene continues as normal. Anything below, if it's an odd, it's going to be an altered scene. If it's an even, it's going to be an interrupt, which means the scene is not going to happen until after. So let's see, what do we got here? 8. Okay, so the scene is going to continue as normal. That's the second time we've tested the scene, and the second time it's gone on as normal with a higher chaos factor, so that's interesting. So Ekal gathers as much burnable material as he can, kind of creates a funeral pyre. He places Quesh, sorry. He places Ekal's body on top of the funeral pyre, lights it, and says some words of remembrance of prayer as tears burn in his eyes, and he's watching his brother, the only other remaining member of his order, watching his body burn. It's getting dusk. The sun is going down. He's thinking he can't stay here. He's going to have to keep moving. He's going to have to move throughout the night, which means the next day he's going to have to spend the entire day resting. But he is running low on supplies. Well, not so much, because he had 1 day of rations left, but he's taken what was left of Ekal's. So let's roll to see if the bandits that he killed had any rations. I think it's probably likely. We are on a chaos factor 8, so let's check this out. Here's our fate chart. It's in the book as well, but I have it on paper in front of me. So I'm going to say it's very likely that the bandits had rations on them, so a 95 or under, and he can score some extra rations. 44, definitely under. There were 6 bandits. I'm going to roll a D12. Let's assume that maybe they had 2 rations on them each. We'll roll a D12. So 3. He's got a total of extra 3 rations. So he's got 5 days of rations now. So he can go a little while, but he's got to get moving. And now that it's dark, there's a chance to get lost, but it's not so bad because he's got the mountains on either side of him. Normally I roll a d6 to get lost, but I think because he's got the mountains on either side of him and wide space in front of him and the jungle behind him, I think it's unlikely that he's going to get lost. So I'm going to roll a d8 as per the Swords and Wizardry rules for getting lost. And that's how we're going to measure the likelihood of getting lost. Instead of 1 to 3, we're going to change the dice. All right, so a d8 on a 1, he'll get lost. I don't know how, because it's pretty clear the direction he needs to go. 8. All right, there's no way of him getting lost. He's going to travel throughout the night. Because he's traveling throughout the night, I'm going to roll again to see if there's an encounter. I'm going to roll a d6. It's a 5, so no encounter. Travels throughout the night and finally is able to make camp. He's like consumed with sort of anger and sadness, and he's going to spend the day just sort of reflecting and trying to plan what his next move is. So we're going to do some upkeep. So for this day, he's going to go down to 4 rations. All right. So next morning, he's going to make himself some breakfast. Let's, and you know what? I'm going to lower the chaos factor back down to 7 because he's a little more in control now. He's moved on. He's got a plan. He knows where he's going. We're going to test the expected scene. The expected scene is that he's going to have breakfast and he's going to continue on his way. Let's find out if that's how this actually happens, or something just pops out of nowhere and changes the plan. Okay, so chaos factor 7, he's going to have to roll above 7 or above on a d10. Let's see what we get. A 10. Okay, so scene continues as normal. I kind of want to have an altered scene. I kind of want to make like things go sideways, but it is what it is. So he takes a day of rest, and now he's going to start moving. This would be the second day after the burial. Day of rest, yeah. Mark that down. We'll mark down that he's taken his rations already. And he's going to move 1, 2. Swords and Wizardry says 12 miles. And you know what? We're playing Swords and Wizardry. We're going to say you can move 12 miles. I feel like you can definitely go further than 12 miles, especially in open space. But since we're playing Swords and Wizardry, we're going to play as much by the rules of Swords and Wizardry as we can without changing too much. I do like to mix things up and make my own rules, but we're gonna go with the 12 miles. All right. I did not roll to see if he got lost, but I feel like where he is, he's got the jungle on one side. It's pretty obvious where he needs to go. He's in between a mountain range and a jungle. I think it's just unlikely he's going to get lost and go in the wrong direction. Actually, you know what? Play by the rules. We'll roll it just for fun. Of course. Okay, so he was right here. So he did get lost. Let's roll a d6, see which direction he went in. Maybe because he's so grief-stricken, he goes in the wrong way. 3, so 1, 2, 3, and he heads into the mountains. Maybe he's at the base of the mountains. Maybe like he hasn't climbed up. So maybe we can say, well, he kind of realizes that he's gone wrong, but it's the end of the day, so he might as well stop for the night. And we're going to roll a d6 for a random encounter. On a 1, 4, no random encounters. So he's going by himself for all this time. Let's see. The people chasing them were 6 days behind. I'm going to roll, before I was rolling a d10, and I'm going to roll a d6 now to see how many days behind they are. Because he took a day of rest. They're 3 days behind, so they're moving quickly and catching up to him. You know what? I'm going to add those guys to our list of characters. I'm going to add pursuers. I don't know who they are yet, but they are coming after him. They want that scroll. We don't even know what the scroll is. I don't think Quesh even knows what Quesh doesn't even know what the scroll is. Just knows that it was something sacred in the temple, something that was given to them to protect as they fled the destruction of their temple. Maybe he's going to have to figure out what it is, but there's a risk to opening it. It could destroy it if he opens it. We don't know, but it's something he's now, especially since Ikel has given it to him on his deathbed, death ground. He's really holding on to. This is his last connection to his order. All right, we already marked the rations down for that, and so the next day, let's see. I'm going to roll. Does he know he's lost? I think it's very likely that he knows that he went off track. Chaos factor 7. Actually, we're going to drop. We're going to raise the chaos factor back up because he's lost. So every time he gets lost, I'm going to say that the chaos factor goes back up 1 because they're out of control. The way the chaos factor works is how in control the characters are of the situation. And my feeling is if you're lost, then you're not particularly in control. I would say it is likely that he knows he's lost. 90 or under. That's cocked. It's on the middle. 8. Definitely extremely. This is an extreme yes. So he definitely knows that he's lost. And I think with that extreme yes roll, he knows exactly which direction he needs to go to get out of the mountain range. So he's going to be able to move. He's going to move to there. I think. Actually, you know what? Before he starts moving, we're going to test the scene. 6. Okay, so it's an even below the chaos factor. Let's see what that means. So if you roll even below the chaos factor or within the chaos factor, it's an interrupt scene. So it's a completely different scene. So it's a scene where he's like packing up his bedroll and stuff and maybe having some food. Actually, we'll mark a day of rations off for that. He is interrupted by something. So here's the scene adjustment table. So we're going to roll on this. We're going to see what the adjustment is, and we're going to roll with it. Four, increase an activity. All right, I think we're going to need to go to tables. Increase an activity. So we're going to go to the meaning tables, and we're going to see what increasing the activity means. So we're going to roll a D100. He's not doing anything particularly active, so 73, recruit. Let's go to action 2. 73 again. Portal. Recruit portal. Okay, so I think when he's packing up, maybe he, when he rested for the night, maybe he found a cave and he realizes that the cave goes deeper in the mountains. Perhaps, maybe he thinks that it could be a way through the mountains to the other side so he doesn't have to go around them. Maybe he'll cut his time in half. It seems like right now the cave is going in the direction he needs to go in. So I think that's what it means. I think he's going to increase the activity. He's going to take this doorway and head into the mountains and see what happens. I think this is going to be interesting. I think that's going to decrease the chaos factor, but that only decreases at... Actually, it'll decrease now because it's at the end of every scene. I was doing it at the end of every day, which is fine when he's traveling through the wilderness, but I'm going to end it on the scene. So, and then we're going to add scene summary. All right, so next time we're going to see how that goes. Hopefully, he manages to get through this alive and it doesn't kill him, but we never know. We're going to roll with the punches. If he dies, he dies, and then that's it. But maybe if he dies in the mountain that deep in the caves, maybe that scroll will be safe because people chasing him might not find him. Okay, so interesting. Things got rolling. Questions on his own. He's heading into the caves of the mountains. Personally, I don't think that's the best idea when you're by yourself, but This is out of my hands. I rolled with the dice and I made an interpretation, and I think that's how it's going to go. So join me next time. We're going to see what happens to Quesh as he travels into the mountains. I'm going to use maybe some geomorphs or something to recreate the path, and hopefully he comes out the other side unscathed. So that's it for me. Save a seat for me at your table.